Daily game design time. Let's see. So I spent a few hours at Other Realms last night. Got there just after 5. And there was already a group getting together, game on the table. And then I learned that a couple of my other friends were just kind of hanging out until there was the quorum for another game. So 3 of us sat down. I saw Quacks on the shelf, pulled it out, was excited about it, and Quacks has the similar issue, and I've known it for a long time, but it shares the issue that Sushi Go does. That there's just tons of them. I feel. Well, any set collection game. Certainly Sea Salt and Paper, which I've been playing a fair amount of these days, or pretty much any worker placement game. What did I pull out? Pillars of the Earth. That's an old worker placement game. In Quacks, the ideas at this point feel simple, but in actual practice, they're not as simple and memorable as I would like. I'm not going to say as they should be. The game is really enjoyable. I love the simplicity, the near pure push your luck. I think it works. It's certainly, obviously, not as pure as Can't Stop or most game show games or something like that. I don't know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whatever. Certainly not as pure as those, but Quacks does a really, really good job. And I think the bag building works really well. I've kind of settled in, especially because I almost never get to play. Well, I don't choose to play anything but the basic ingredients. With the basic ingredient definitions, I guess. It's because I am generally teaching the game and to first time players. So I just play whatever it is that Quacks gave us to play for the first time. And I think I've even developed like a pretty decent teaching style for it. But it's amazing, like even, to introduce more and more, like round by round. I think even Quacks itself, the basic structure of the game, does a nice job of like revealing new ingredients that you can. Even the idea that that's part of it, that there are 9 rounds, and then in round 2 and round 3 you get new ingredients, I think is what it is, and that's very sensitive design. That's great because you're overloading your players. You already know that. So what are some ways that you can mitigate that overload? Well, you can just, start with a smaller pool of options and then add to that pool throughout the game. That's great, right? People get in the rhythm, they understand the basics of whatever these things do, and now you can introduce a new one. I do that with another game. It's a circle game called Zoom Bing Bounce, and I think it adds to the drama of the game. In Zoom Bing Bounce, you're passing a kind of imaginary ball of energy around, and there are 3 motions you can do. You can send it to the next person, your neighbor, with a zoom. You can bounce it back with a bing, or you can jump it over somebody and continue it the same direction with a bounce. Anyway, so you get playing that, people get really, really familiar with it, comfortable with it, and then you add another version of bounce, which is boing. It looks the same, but it skips 2 people. So it adds to the teachability of the game to have a limited number of options, but then it adds to the drama to introduce more options as you go. Anyway, so Quacks, it does a nice job. But anyway, for whatever reason, it really took, like this first play for this little group, it was not that exciting. I think by the end things were making more sense, but even the one concept that is probably the least sticky, I'd say, is that you count only the one chips. For some reason, did I say one chips? You count only the white chips, the cherry bombs or whatever they call them. For whatever reason, that is really difficult for some players to remember. So we do a few rounds, and then I have to keep like watching their board and kind of checking it on the number of white chips because they'll often retire early or whatever. Um, so anyway, it's such a great game, but it just shares that issue of like this takes a lot more to teach than it feels like once you're familiar with the game, and maybe that's all games, but there are so many games that are just so easy to teach, because they just don't. There's they are maybe have a similar card count to a Sushi Go, or they ultimately have a similar complexity, but they're a lot easier to teach because the complexity doesn't come from the great number of options. It's a lot to suddenly at the end of a round of quacks have to buy something. What do you choose? I don't know. What am I? So just trying to also, encourage people not to care too much about it. Just kind of get in the game, get things going. Anyway, I had a really nice time hanging out, but it's just one of those. I think one of the first times I feel like the game really did not work super well with the group. And yeah, and then we played Concept. Concept is not a game I've played. It was like it was years ago since I played Concept, and I just find that like it's a neat concept. It's a neat idea that you're trying to get. It's a word association or image association kind of game, or like how do we form concepts? It's with little bits of other ideas, little images, disparate images. You combine them and then you get a new idea. You get a new concept. So conceptually, it's actually really smart. It's really really cool. The problem is there's so many like pop culture references. There's so many different types of words that can show up on these cards. They're like levels of difficulty, which I think is smart. That's helpful. But for whatever reason, like we had Indiana Jones. That's one we failed. Indiana Jones. And I think a big part of it is my recall is just not amazing. That's kind of a general issue. Just like if there was a long list of movies to choose from, then I think I could narrow things down pretty quickly. But it's like, sorry, nothing's coming. Like nothing's coming up. She tried to oh no, I think it was Jacoby tried to combine movie or film or something. It's like an image of a movie camera, an old movie camera. So it could be movie, film, theater, or movie, film, whatever. And then fantasy. Maybe this was this. I don't remember who did it. I feel like it was. It could have been Roxanne. No, I think it was Roxanne. So she tried movie, fiction, or wish, or something like that. Something like fantasy and historical. And anyway, and then added like brown to it because she's like not wrong that like Indiana Jones wears a lot of brown, but to put those things together, to integrate those, and then to also struggle to think of stuff in general, it is just not a super great fit for me. Anyway, it's still nice to be with those people. It's just Concept as a game is really challenging for me. What I wanted to say too about a teach. Actually, I had this experience on Monday. Monday I sat down with Reese and learned Doomtown. Doomtown, it was a TCG, is now an LCG apparently. AEG picked up this game from somebody, published it as an LCG, I guess. So you can just buy decks, buy packs. Not packs, but I guess sets, I think is the idea. And it's this old Western theme where you're, you know, you're riding into town to do stuff, and then you're going out to the ranch to like, and you're taking a posse out there to go have a showdown or a shootout or whatever. It's really like gritty, dangerous old west. And it honestly, like it, I think after I played a couple times, I was starting to get the feel for it and enjoying it. I thought it was, especially because I've become more comfortable with Magic. It's been easier to onboard some of these other, subsequent games. Where is that? This one. So anyway, Reese also, I think, is a little bit new to the game, but he at least read through the rules, which is great. And he I guess I can do ×2, right? Let's do like this. He's going through the teach, and at some point, I feel like he's doing a great job. He is flipping through the rule book and just kind of following the order of the rule book, and it was intuitive, it was good. But it's a lot. And at some point I said, I'm hitting a retention limit. I'm hitting my retention limit for this game. So it'd be nice if we can like start taking turns, or we can start and then we can come back when this becomes important. And granted, I don't always know when things are important. Okay, but I had the feeling. So in this case, we went through the rules for playing cards out onto the table. Some basic movement stuff about attaching gear to your different cowboy people. They're called dudes. I thought it was very cute. And I'm thinking to call this maybe Gearhead. So I'll come back. I'll explain what I'm doing in just a second. But so we went through a bunch of these basics, and then we got to the idea of a shootout. I think it's called a shootout. And a shootout, it takes a little while to like get into the position when a shootout is possible. So I sensed that, and I already felt myself like, I'm just going to start losing information. It's what you're saying now is just going to go over my head. What you've told me in the past 10 minutes is going to just fizzle. I'm just going to be forgetting things. So it was kind of nice to notice that, to sort of accept that. I think on some level, I can recognize when it's time to start playing for myself, because I'm just going to be in a position where I'm like totally forgetting like everything you just said. So that was kind of neat to experiment with and just say, okay, I think I'm done. I think I know what to do. I think I have some idea for what to do for the first few steps, and then we can come back to this later. Okay, so where I left off yesterday, it was working on multiple options for community projects. So I appreciated Mike and his input yesterday on this. And some of the community projects, now there are kind of 3 versions. 1, 2, and 3, completely untested. I would actually guess that, you know what, I can still maintain an original variant here. Huh. Interesting. I guess this doesn't really matter. These don't need to. Okay, I am going to bring back the old version just for the sake of variety, not because I love it or because I think it's an amazing little system, but at least what I can say here is I have 4 versions of community projects. Now some of them are like very, very similar. I think that's okay. Okay, so I'll just add these back in and then call it good for now. Because even though I have a variety of community projects now, I think I probably would still consider this one, or I would sort of pick one to be the main one. You know, like this is the base game community project. And I think it's probably this one, just because I think there's nothing special to understand. The price, the cost here matters a lot, but I'm not gonna overthink it at the moment. So the issue that we were trying to solve before was that in my self playtests, and in the one playtest I had on virtual playtesting in the Discord server, there was no impulse to go to community projects at the start of the game, closer to the beginning. And so by the end, you're also busy. You're also getting closer to other win cons, and also feeling perhaps kind of too busy to actually the start. You're too busy building your engine to dump money into community projects. That's why I wanted to lower the cost. Maybe even here. I'll just do 11 and 13 and then 16. Okay, and then, oh, this doesn't need to be arranged in this way. So this is why I had more space before. So, okay, so I'm actually excited about the idea that I now have. Just center all this, that I now have a nice variety of community projects to choose from. So there's this community project which says claiming 3 of these equals a win. It should probably be a different icon. Where did that go? Okay, I think I got rid of that icon. It's fine for now. Okay, so you simply need to claim 3 of these. In this other version, in week 1, you can spend 7 money to claim one of yours. In week 2, it's 12. In week 3, it's 16. And again, it's the first player to get 3 community projects. It's just that you're not competing over them. Oh wait, maybe. Why did I do that? Here, wait a minute. I'm gonna undo a couple things real quick. Then I'm gonna copy these and then redo. Because now there's no competition. It's not like you're rushing to claim the early ones. Like here, you would be, if you think it's within your price range, or if you're motivated to try this WinCon, then the sooner you claim one, the better, because it makes it more expensive for the next player, right? Here, however, it doesn't matter what the other player's doing. What instead, there's obviously a massive incentive to go here earlier. So in theory, you could claim 2 of these in week 1 for 14 money. I'm not sure that you would want to. It's not obvious to me that it'd be worth it. It could be, but I'm not sure. Okay, and then it started going crazy. So one idea was, what if you could reduce the cost? What's this doing here? What if you could reduce the cost by placing a meeple somewhere? What if you could get a deal? Okay, well that encouraged this idea, which was, what if I have a card where you send meeples, in this case extra meeples, the meeples that you earn during a round, and that get added to the next round. What if you could send one of those and then reduce the cost of one of these spaces? So I tried that for a little while. It wasn't really working for various reasons. And instead, what presented itself was the idea that this could be its own project. In other words, if you place 6 meeples here, 6 extra meeples, then you win. The thing is, there are bonuses and then costs, depending on where you place. So it's still a kind of race to get here to the bonuses and avoid the costs. It's just that the race is happening from a different angle, from a different source. Like here, it's just literally money. If you can get your money engine going, you should be in good shape for community projects over here. If instead you're willing to sacrifice your extra workers and gaining these bonuses, this is still engine related because you're taking stronger turns. Like if you cover this, it means for free you get to fill the pink space in your evaporator. That's for free. So you're still getting good stuff on subsequent turns. But it's not dependent on money anymore. It's dependent on what you do with your extra meeples. The issue is that you only get extra meeples from 3 sources, 2 buildings, and those are limited. I mean, at least the gift shop only offers 2 extra workers, and 1 Mayor's Favor card. So this is almost where I left off. Where I actually left off was in this little game, this little 4 across game, where you can send the cubes that you would send to the grant office. There might be a little too much demand on these cubes, but the ones you would send to the grant office instead. Oh, you know what? I was thinking maybe these should the X ones should go, but no, I guess it probably still is the cubes that would go to the grant office. But this then puts attention back on the 2 main or 3 main ways of, yeah, I don't love this actually, now that I'm thinking of it. I really don't love it. I think this should not be the cost. I think one of these should be the cost. The main reason is that the way the warehouse works, it sends cubes to the grant office, And instead, one of them could come here. Hmm. You know what? I'm tempted to just make this a 1. Just do this. Right? And just let it be cheap, easy to do. Okay, but let me go back down to Gearhead. What I was planning to do is have another source for extra meeples, and I'm thinking to place this. Oh, actually, I meant to grab. Where is it? So I'm thinking to cover the hardware store with this card. And what I'm doing, I guess it's both the hardware store and the used car lot, because this is the garage upgrade as well. So I'd like it to be cheap. I think you want access to the hardware store generally, almost like as soon as. Yeah, I want to make it easy to. I want to make it easy to earn. At the same time, though, now this really would push. I don't want these so easy to earn that that the mayor's favorite cards become just the obvious win con. But the other reason I wanted one to cover the hardware store is that I think the best way to do this would be to have the best way to have mayor's favorite card deck would be if you have an excess number of cards, so that you play with fewer than exist in the box, just for the sake of variety, and uncertainty, right? You don't know which cards are going to come out, so so it would be something like have 7, play with 6, 7 or 8. I don't have another building to cover, actually. I think the warehouse, unless I did one at the town hall. I kind of don't like messing with the town hall. I was tempted to not do it with the hardware store. What kind of costs do we have? The easy one is just money. It's just easy to. It's easy to have a money cost. The other thing I could do is just leave it as a cube cost. Like, you just need to spend, 2 or 3 cubes. I don't mind that. So like here, it's, ditch 3 cubes and have at least 12 money in round. Oh, this needs to change, because now it's only. Wow. Now it's only 4 anyway. Yikes. So this just got super cheap. These, the grant gets really, really cheap in this case. Just 2 cubes. So This might be a little too powerful, but it does the cost the requirement does graduate. So maybe it's fine, but anyway, I need to re-download this card. Now Gearhead. What's it cost? Oh, you know, excuse me. You know what? I don't have anything related to community projects, so there could be an incentive. I'm not sure I love it because I want the community projects to have a lot of variety, and it wouldn't be obvious depending on which one is out. Like I don't know of it. I can't imagine an icon that would account for all of them. Like in the sense here, like what would it be to have completed one community project? Right, because you're only dropping cubes here. Yeah, what's another possible board state? Could be really annoying, and no, cannot. Because if this is, I was thinking I could actually require an upgrade. But an upgrade wouldn't work, especially if it was like the first. If it was the first card to come out, obviously it would just be stuck there for forever. You could earn. You could have earned a grant. I just had a thought where maybe how about this? 0 cubes in the grant office. That could be a little dirty. That's kind of rough. I don't know. This one would take quite a bit of playtesting because I don't think it's that easy to manipulate the number of cubes in the grant office, honestly. Like well, now that it's cheaper, you could like rush to get a grant. You could technically do that. But what I don't love I don't know. I can try it. I'll try it. So I'm just gonna grab this deal here. Oh, actually this is better. So I think I just say like 0 cubes over here, right? Oh, little meeple came with the package. So I think this is saying just no meeple, no cubes in the grant office. So it costs 1 cube. I don't know. I don't mind that. Anyway, so now there would be 7 possible mayor's favor cards, and in setup you would just take 6, leave 1 in the box for a touch of uncertainty. The other thing about this is it's another source of extra meeples. So well, wait a second. I need to check the power here because here's a quick example of evaluating these cards. So it costs 2 2 power because each meeple is, we have in the economy, each meeple is worth 2, and it costs 1 cube, so it's 3 total. And then this is not a true cost, but what it does, you're not actually, you don't need to think of it as spending 8, but it's pretty much that you need to have 8 money that you can spend. You need to actually spend it, right? Maybe you would want that money on hand. Anyway, you can get it back, but the point is you need to reach at least 8 money and be able to spend it on this turn. To gain 6 power, right? To net 6 power. Oh, actually, no, you're not netting 6. Wait a second. So here's 3 plus 8 is 11. So in actuality, you're netting 3 power because you're getting 12 money back and 1 worker. So that's 3 total power. Okay, it's not nothing, right? It's not nothing. What is this one here? So this one costs 4 power, but you net 6 power. The thing is, you're committing to, timing matters here. This is not as effective. This requirement is not as effective as it was because now, actually, this is kind of an issue, honestly. This is really easy to get because there's not a trade-off. The original trade-off was it was based on the idea that if you don't fill these when you run your Sugar Shack, in the next round you're gonna have as many cubes coming out of your evaporator as you would get if you didn't add to that base number. So if you have your original Sugar Shack, you would just get 1 cube for the next round. So you're really hurting your future round with the previous mechanics. Here, now it doesn't really matter as much because you could just get this card and then fill up your evaporator during a turn, like a regular turn. So this is not as relevant of a requirement. It's still something. Timing would still matter. But so you would just have to do a little planning. So you probably shouldn't earn this much money, honestly, because it's just easier to do. So if this is 4, I would feel good about dropping this to like 8. So you net 4, but you have to plan a little bit. So I don't mind that. Anyway, so that's how we're evaluating power off of these. Ooh, let me check this one. So costs 4 power, costs 9 power total. With the possible payout, what's the best payout here? It would be to roll the die twice and earn 16 money. So it's the possibility of netting 6 or netting 2. So I think this one is, this is 4, or netting 3. The other barrel, I'm not sure you have the context to understand what I'm saying there. The other barrel option is, it's the warehouse, but the warehouse still, timing still matters in the warehouse. Anyway, so I feel good about those cards. Now let me just evaluate this card in the same way. So it's to spend 3 power, have no cubes in the grant office to gain 1. So you're netting 1. So I don't love that, right? We can just add a cube. I'd feel good about that. I know I scroll up and down a lot. I hope I'm not giving you some kind of, the vertigo. So I'm going to add a cube here. See, this is what was really useful about starting to think, like applying spreadsheet thinking to design. Now at least I can justify like expenses and payouts. That's the whole point. Right now I have a sense for how much things are worth, and because I do, now I can start to evaluate the like specific um, dynamics or features in the economy, which is really helpful. Okay, so what this says is if you have no cubes in the grant office and on your turn you spend a meeple and a cube at any time on your turn, including this turn, you could flip this card to gain 2 extra meeples and 1 cube. So that's pretty sweet. Okay, so this would, so you're still only netting 2 power, but the thing is, having extra meeples on your turn is a big deal. So no matter what, that's going to be helpful. Let me drop this down. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that was pretty easy. So it is kind of fun to think about like given what's possible in the game, what are some different board states or different types of trade-offs to introduce in order to get stuff or get stuff done? I think it's a cool puzzle. Okay, so now there are 7 of these cards in the game. The other thing I realized too is that you could have multiples of the same, multiple cards covering the same building, but I don't think I love that idea right now. I just wanted to get a decent number of cards. You know what? You can probably still play with all 7, to be honest. The key would be to shorten the game so that not all 7 come out. So I think that's it. I'm really curious about how this would play. You know, because I really like there's a game we built as in our youth group, Pathfinders, which is like Boy Scouts. When I was young, we built these 5 across boards. We played a lot of 5 across. I think the way 5 across worked, it's that you just get, I think it's the first to 10 fives across or something. Here, it's just if you get 4 in a row or 4 diagonally, then you just win. Or if you get 8 cubes total in here, then you win. That's gonna be a lot of cubes, though. Like it could be that this is just too many. You know, because you're gonna want to use cubes. I don't know. I guess they. Yeah, I don't know. That's the point. It's like it needs to be play tested. Probably 7. Because if you take 7 turns, you should definitely if you focus so much on the community projects that you take 7 turns to do it, you might be a big deal. So I wonder if this is gonna just totally detract from the whole rest of the game. You know, if now all of a sudden you feel like you have to interact with just this card, that could be a little bit sad. Anyway, I feel good about these updates. Community projects, this one still not feeling super good about. To discount it to it still costs oh wait, No, no, no. Now the projects are not. Oh, yeah, this is not relevant at all anymore. I need to come up with like a completely different ability on this. By the way, today's student meetings start at, so my time right now is 7 o'clock. The student meetings start at 8:30. Let me see how many I have today. It's been really fun to interact with these students about their papers, but it is pretty tiring. And I just mean energy wise. Like I have a lot of fun when I'm doing it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 10 meetings with students today. So that's it's a 5 hour commitment that's broken up into 30 minutes each. And I think this is basically, I think I got most of the students finished up. Yeah, so I scheduled meetings from Monday through Wednesday through today, so that the students could have time to get their second draft done. Previously, oh hey Mike. Previously, I did meetings with students through Thursday, and I just realized that's not cool. Students need more time to work on their papers. Okay, so the other abilities. So this one, letter A, it means from now on, filling your evaporator to the max is free. Letter B is, why is this up here? Letter B says you can ignore the placement restrictions. No, you can ignore blocking. In other words, you can just use the same location that another player used. Maybe even that you used. So you just ignore blocking, except for on the town hall. This is weird. Okay, so ignore blocking. Another one is, I'll remove this. Okay, another one. This one is the gain 5 meeples, 5 extra meeples for next turn. And then, yeah, we still need one more. You know what could be kind of nuts? Is maybe you never lose cubes again. Maybe all the cubes become. Ooh, this could be kind of nuts. Let me think about this for a second. So it could be that all cubes become grant office cubes, or the handshake cubes. That could be out of control, actually. I think that might be a really bad idea. Because some of these are just a cost now, right? Like these get thrown back to the supply. But if there was an ability that made these, oh, that would just be game over up here. Oh wait, no. This is, yeah. No, okay, this community project changed, so it's not as much of a risk. But if you got a grant office upgrade that lets you get more grant office upgrades really fast, would that be cool? Um yeah, naming seems reasonable. It's just there's not much space right now. I could do like super tiny. Oh, got ya. Um, Yeah, so what? So B could be like um it's sort of like sneaky or like you're a good negotiator because you can just go and do yeah. This one would be the I don't know, the syrup gang or the syrup union or the many hands make light work. I don't know, something like that. And then this one is Sap on Tap. How cute is that? Sap on Tap. You gotta love that. You just have to. Sap on Tap. This one, I'm not sure. Sneaky Business. And C, the government lends temporary aid to your business, correct? Yeah. Yep. Right. You get a bunch of volunteers. Yeah. Well, I don't know that it's the government, right? I'm not trying to be political here. These are not tax dollars at work. This could be, this is the Syrup Foundation potentially, and you apply for grants from the foundation. I don't know. I don't know that it matters a lot, but um, yeah, I could just call it. Uh, no, I don't. I don't mind that. Sure, government programs for syrup for sugar makers. Um, but yeah. Anyway, so some other ability that you would want. It'd be kind of nuts. You could just perpetually get an extra worker for the rest of the game. No. Hmm. What if you could just be first player for the Yeah, I like that. I like that. Get in the mindset for the fourth ability. What if you could just be first player for forever? It would shut down the town hall maybe completely, except that you could still go to the town hall to look at the top card of the mayor's favor deck, but you could just like take away the ability to lose first player. Um, that could be kind of nuts. I don't know, Mike, have you ever played Marco Polo or the Voyages of Marco Polo? I think it is. Um, but every player has game breaking abilities. Like you hear their ability and you're like, there's no way that's okay. There's no way you should be able to do that. It's very, very good. You can play it on BGA. It's one of my favorites, honestly. I think it's so clever, and it's dice placement, and it's very, very tight. The economy is very tight, and so it's tough. It's tough to feel like you're making any progress, but just the abilities themselves are so amazing. You have these different like traveler characters. These like I think they're real people actually. They have names and they have these abilities, and they're game breaking. Like they just let you literally break rules, and they're awesome. And that's what I want this to feel like. I want this to feel like what you get. What that's crazy. So it could be that you just have fully brown nosed, or maybe you get Mayor's favor cards for 1 cube cheaper. I don't know that I want to help somebody toward a win con like that. That feels excessive. But community projects, like getting a discount for community projects, is basically the same thing. I just think you don't. I still feel like Mayor's favorite cards are the easiest way to win right now. So I just talked myself out of that. You know, it'd be pretty nuts is if literally everything cost one less worker for a minimum of one. So, so like this, going to Farland Market would cost one worker, right? Is that what, did we just say exactly the same thing? Yeah. Okay. I think this is probably pretty nuts, but I like it. I was gonna just reduce the cost by one, but if everything costs one, let me think about what that does. Actually, it's probably safer. It's probably safer to have everything cost a certain number because it's easier to say, right? It's easier to say than it's reduced by one for a minimum of one. That's kind of annoying to actually say. So let me, yeah. This is an exciting idea. I'm nervous though. So I guess what I would do is just this, because I think at the most things okay. Actually, let me do that again. Right now at the most I think it's 3. I think one thing costs 3. Is that right? The Grand Office costs 3. So reducing the price by reducing the necessary power by a significant amount. Yeah, I the thing is, I don't think at this point. Well, I was gonna say that production. Like, who's ever really gonna go here? Or here? I mean, I guess in a pinch, like maybe toward the end of the game, you would go there. Yeah. It definitely will. It would definitely feel different. I agree. My concern is that nobody would go to. Yeah, this is pretty amazing, actually. I think I'm just gonna do this. Hello. I can't shrink it any more than that. Oh, I can. Oh, I didn't want to do that. So that is pretty nuts. But I like it. Actually, okay, so this one saves you up to 5 power every turn. So you get maximum production every turn for free, and that means you potentially save 5 power per turn if you're really trying to be like super productive. In this case, you can save at most 4, right? You save 4. So actually this is effectively more powerful than A is more powerful than D in that sense, in terms of economy. But D is more flexible because then you can just you're able to do more things on your turn. So I think that's actually really cool. For A, could you get income each turn? I don't want to add, honestly, I appreciate these ideas, but sometimes you're taking us to a level of busyness that I feel that's very occasional, Mike. But yeah, I don't want to add too many like special conditions or like little administrative things. Not too many. Actually, I'm income per turn was something I feel like I would have mentioned this before. I was really happy to cut it out eventually because I really hate upkeep in general, and I feel like there will be a fair amount of upkeep, or the feeling of a fair amount of upkeep here. So keeping that to an absolute minimum, I think, is important right now. Because this, like I just said, this is actually valuable, very valuable, because it's 5 power. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I'm not trying to reprimand you, Mike. I'm just yeah, I think it's good. I think you're a really strong brainstormer. So, um, yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that you're not so passionate about every idea you have that you would be offended if I didn't integrate it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Because yes, we're still in brainstorming mode, but hopefully getting close to something that's just really playable. And I think to yeah, to clarify, I guess the next steps that I imagine, certainly it'll be a playtesting mode here for a while after this. Um, it's been interesting to have these cycles of like it's brainstorming, it's just putting ideas down, and then it's playtesting, it's tightening things, cutting things, um, definitely reevaluating things, and then another round of brainstorming. So it's this contraction expansion thing that's pretty cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, because we don't actually have to include anything that we've built so far, apart from the base game, right? So, like these are just fun ideas, these community projects, but thankfully they don't have to be part of the game. I can still stick with the basic community projects, or even try this one, and still test the 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 bulk of the game is the same. So what have I changed? Let's see. Um, Let me just go, let's take this view. Okay. What's different now? All this stuff is the same. So, okay, so the grant office abilities, we adjusted one ability. These are all brainstormed that need playtesting, these community projects. Added, oh, where was that? Oh, I changed the payout for corporate incentive. Added one more. Mayor's favor card, and then reduced the second round of the cubes in the sugar bush. So that's about it, except for brainstorming these other options for community projects. I think that's everything. That's like completely oh, the cost for the grants. That was another thing tweaked. The cost for the grants. So yeah, I think you're on to the truth, which is it's playtesting time. I feel good about this. So I'm at an hour, I believe, just past an hour, and I feel like really good progress today. Um, yeah. So still at the same, because because we haven't play tested. Still the same questions about. Is this in the middle? Same questions remain. Is the incentive better to get involved in the community projects? Is that more effective now that have reduced cost? Um, the grants, because I do want people to be able to earn grants. So reducing the number of cubes, adding to the mayor's favor cards so that you're less likely to see all of them in a game. I guess I could still actually force that. I was thinking just leave all 7 cards in, but I think it's possible the best thing. Huh. It's possible that the best thing would be to just remove one by force. If I can say it like that. Okay, yeah, you know what? I think um having one card out. Yes. Oh, that's a good point because you'll want to check to see which one's missing. Yeah. Well, that was what I was thinking. It was to have so right now there are 6 and there's a near guarantee it looks like that you'll see all 6. So I thought to make like 7 or 8 and force one out of the game for some uncertainty. So I like it. I think we agree on that one. That it's probably better just to remove one. But I like that you pointed out that it improves this card or makes it more attractive. Yeah, because certainty ought to cost something, right? Or certainty, yeah, you need to spend something to gain some certainty, which I like. So that's cool. Yeah, I feel good about this. I feel good about this new variety. And you know what? It also continues to remind me that there is a fair amount of expansion potential here. The other thing I realized is this could actually be a system that is replicable in other settings or with other, with other themes. So that was exciting. I was thinking, what worker placement games have locations that cost varying numbers of meeples? Mike, I wonder if you can think of any. I remembered yesterday. I remembered Age of Civilization, which has something similar, in the sense that in order to do something more powerful, it does cost you more meeples, but it's not like I think you actually lose those meeples in that case. I also don't remember if blocking is happening because I think you gain that. No, it is blocking. So that's the closest I've seen that I can think of is Age of Civilization. That would work kind of like this, where you have a varying cost to use a location. There are other games. Oh, we played My Father's Work the other day, and there is something that operates a little bit like this too, in the estate. And then there's of course holotype, where you care about the strength of the particular worker, but it's not the number of workers. And then somebody pointed out Brink has the worker placement feature of okay, I've never played Bus. Actually, I really want to play Bus. My friend Josh has a copy. He brings it around a lot. We just I've never been able to play it. But yeah, Brink has workers that are different strengths and different sizes. So you can block somebody in different ways. You can get more stuff by spending a bigger worker. Anyway, okay, I think I'm going to transition away. As always, Mike, appreciate your input. This is a fun cooperative process here. I really appreciate your ideas. I was a little bummed. I saw a post today about Pegasus Spiel. They have designer days or innovation days, I think they called it, and you had to apply by the 7th of September. I didn't see. I don't know. Somebody asked about it on BGDL, and I didn't see the post, the original post about, or I didn't hear about those designer days until today, or innovation days. So I was kind of bummed about that. Because I really do feel like this is close to being pitchable, even before it's super finely tuned. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Thanks again. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you soon.